Now on CoastTV News.
Hurricane Erin making its closest approach to Delmarva as it pushes out into the North Atlantic. We are getting battered by high surf and strong winds along the coast. Expecting some major tidal flooding through the evening. I'll break it all down coming up in my full forecast.
This is CoastTV News Midday.
Not much beach left there in Bethany Beach, absolutely covered in water this morning. Good morning and thank you for joining us. I'm Brandon Ferguson. Welcome to CoastTV News Midday. We begin this morning looking live into Ocean City, and look at that, the water almost up to the boardwalk, and we're going to bring in First Alert meteorologist Chris Mastrobuono. And Chris, all week today was being eyed as the worst day. Is that still holding up?
Oh yes, right on track here, and we're going to continue to see this high wave action and wind action really through the afternoon. As you can see from our variety of cams here, Ocean City getting battered by the high surf and high winds. You see the surf picking up pretty well there in Rehoboth, and then you can see in the Indian River Inlet, very choppy there, and then we're quite choppy even in the bay as we see those strong northeast winds gusting upwards of 40-45 miles an hour. And current wave heights, look at some of these wave heights, 11 feet to 12 feet off the Delmarva coast and the 13-foot waves there off of the Jersey coast. These are sustained winds anywhere from 40 to 31 miles an hour along the coast. And here's your gusts, upwards of 43-mile-an-hour gusts there in Indian River Inlet, 38 miles an hour in Bethany Beach. So we've had some showers kind of enhanced by the outer bands of Erin, but we are socked in the clouds, and you can see how large and massive this hurricane is. And there's the center, a good 300 miles away from us, and this is lifting to the northeast. And current stats, north-northeast movement at 18 miles an hour, winds sustained at 100, and we're looking at those gusts upwards of 120. So this is going to continue to pull northeast and weaken and eventually become an extratropical cyclone as it pushes into the North Atlantic. So here over the next few hours, expect to see gusts upwards of 45-50 miles an hour along the coast. And then the primary concern going into the evening is the major tidal flooding along the Delaware coast. Coinciding with a high tide, we could see a major inundation with flooding upwards of 3 feet there in a lot of the back bays. Elsewhere, it's just a cloudy, kind of breezy day for much of the inland. And there you see those winds continuing to gust upwards of 48-50 miles an hour through the afternoon. And then as we go into the evening, they will begin to wind down as Erin pushes further away from the coast. Temperature-wise, we are in the lower 70s at this hour. We'll see temperatures rise maybe a degree or two through the afternoon, but clouds and wind are going to be the theme through the rest of the day and into the early evening hours. Coming up, we'll talk about some sunny, brighter times ahead as we head into the weekend, and we'll talk about that dangerous risk of rip currents continuing into the weekend as well, coming up in that full 7-day forecast. Brandon.
Thank you, Chris. At Cape Penelope State Park, all surf fishing, drive-on crossings, and swimming beaches remain closed due to high surf and unsafe conditions. Park officials are actively monitoring this situation and will provide updates as they become available. While Fenwick Island is eyeing what Erin could do to their beaches, they also have a focus on the future with several topics up for review. The Delaware Sea Grant is presenting on sea level rise and emergency preparedness. A DENREC official will review the National Flood Insurance Program. Strawn Environmental Incorporated is providing an overview of Fenwick Island's new flood and stormwater planning and design scope. And DEMA will discuss the state's hazard mitigation and recovery planning. And this starts at 1 p.m. at the Fenwick Island Town Hall. Happening today, the crafting of land use policy recommendations in Sussex County. It is a continuing effort this year by the working group with that name. After several meetings, the group has drafted recommendations, which the county council may consolidate. Some include creating higher density for development in certain areas. That could lead to taller buildings with more housing units. Another is syncing up road improvements with new developments, and this meeting is happening right now. Starting today in Ocean City, it's Jeep Fest. Organizers say it's one of the biggest and most popular Jeep events in the Mid-Atlantic. Throughout the day, drivers can take their Jeeps on sand courses And also later today, Chief Meteorologist Paul Williams will be live at the event during our 5 and 6 p.m. newscast.
And we're expecting that high surf to continue, peaking today 7 to 14 feet. And even as the calm conditions go into tomorrow and the weekend, we're still going to be dealing with high dangerous surf. So keep that in mind as that dangerous rip current threat will linger through the weekend. Get your latest forecast by dialing the First Alert Weather Phone, sponsored by Broxton and Dallas Federico. My full 7-day forecast is in minutes.
But first, in this week's Coastal's Connections, we show you how a Milton teacher is helping bridge language barriers in the classroom and inside homes. That's up next.
Trying to find success in the classroom can be a challenge for any student, but it can be doubly hard if English isn't your first language. As Matt Pensick shows us in this week's Coastal Connections, one Milton woman is helping out Spanish-speaking students and their families as well.
So these are some of the books that we use.
At first, this may look like a typical children's book, but if you get in closer, it's much more than that. It is a useful tool designed to help parents or guardians whose first language is Spanish help their children make their way in an English-speaking society.
In this program, we use bilingual literature to help the parents learn how to establish reading routines with their children at home. We read it first in Spanish, okay, so that the parents understand what the story is about. So we'd go through and read all the pages in the Spanish section.
For 10 years, Jackie Wager has worked with families that are new to the U.S. and the language challenges they face.
It can be very stressful for the families when all they want to do is make sure their children are in school and learning and doing well.
School forms that might seem simple are not so simple if you're just learning English.
There were a lot of questions they had that you and I would understand if a notice came home or an email, whatever it might be. And the parents of my students, many of them can't read the English and don't know how to support their children. And I learned about a program that offers, with bilingual literature, instruction and resources to help parents learn how to read with their children.
The adult programs are usually in the evenings. During the day, Wager is focused on elementary school students.
We have to work very closely with the classroom teachers to make sure supports are in place for those kids to get the support that they need throughout their school day.
It was at an early age the students, and by extension their families, first started working with Wager. It's a relationship that continues beyond the elementary school years.
Many of my former students have graduated, are in studying beyond high school. I run into families at the grocery store, at Chick-fil-A, at the beach. I'm very, very fortunate and excited to see them throughout the community.
And recently, one of those former students reached out to her.
One day this spring, I got a text message from a former student, and she had a selfie with her associate's degree from Del Tech, and she says, "Mrs. Wager, I did it." And I'm getting goosebumps thinking about it. Degree secured. Isn't that an awesome picture? I'm so proud. I feel so blessed to have this kind of connection with my students and their families in our area.
Y después aquí al Georgetown para estudiar el inglés.
Working with 2 languages, the impact that she is making, that is hard to put a number to.
I love what I do, Matt. I wouldn't change it. I wouldn't change it. There have been tough times and tears shed, but I think that working with people who are so driven to succeed and develop their language skills is inspiring.
For Coastal Connections, I'm Matt Pensick.
Well, Hurricane Erin giving us all she's got, even though the center of the storm is about 200-300 miles off to our east. You can see from Ocean City, you can see those breaking waves, some of these waves upwards of 12 to 13 feet. The coast just getting battered, and a lot of beach erosion taking place along the Delmarva Peninsula here over the next 24 hours. 72 degrees right now, Ocean City. Winds out of the north sustained at 20, and we're gusting upwards of 40-50 miles an hour this afternoon. Take a look at some of these wave heights, really upwards of 11 to 12 foot waves, anywhere from the southern portion of the peninsula all the way up to the New Jersey coast. Temperature-wise, we're doing, well, we're quite mild at this hour. We're in the lower 70s. Temperatures not budging all that much through the afternoon with all the cloud cover in play. Sustained winds right now anywhere from 28 to Georgetown to 38 Indian River Inlet. Gusts, well, we're gusting nearly to 50 miles an hour Indian River Inlet, gusting up to 40 there in Ocean City, and that is the zone where we're going to see the strongest winds here over the next few hours. We had a few showers kind of stream in off the Atlantic, kind of the outer bands of Erin, but we're dealing with solid cloud cover throughout much of the mid-Atlantic, and that's the way it's going to be here throughout the day today as the center of Erin begins to lift to the northeast. Still a Category 2 hurricane at this hour. Winds 100 miles an hour. Gusts 120, and you can see it moving to the northeast at about 18 miles an hour. It's really going to begin to pick up speed here and then eventually turn extra tropical as it gets into the Canadian Maritimes. Tropical storm warnings for the coastal waters continue as we're going to see gusts upwards of 50 miles an hour there, and then the other concern is the coastal flood warnings that are continuing as well. That's due in part to that northeast push of water and all the surf that we're going to be seeing. We're already seeing flooding in the back bays, and then those tropical storm warnings for the coastal waters continue all the way down through the portion of the peninsula. Wind advisories are in effect. Those run through midnight, due in part to the strong winds we're going to be seeing through the afternoon. So we're going to be seeing a lot of cloud cover through the afternoon, staying dry, but again, very windy. Those gusts upwards of 50 miles an hour here over the next few hours. And then as we get in the evening, we should see those winds begin to relax. And we'll still be a bit on the breezy side as we go into the day on Friday. Cloud cover stays in play through the afternoon with those strong winds at the coast. We clear pretty quickly through the overnight, and that's going to allow for some cool temperatures by Friday morning, upper 50s to lower 60s, and Friday shaping up to be a gorgeous day with temperatures right around 80 degrees. Those waves approaching 12 to 14 feet over the next few hours, and even as we go into Friday, we'll see sunshine, but still going to be dealing with some breakers upwards of 5 to 10 feet. So there's that coastal flooding concern. Major flooding likely along the Delaware coast here over the next few hours, up to 3 foot of inundation in those low-lying areas, due in part to high tide coinciding with the strong winds and high surf. You can see high tides here over the next through the evening. Rehoboth Beach 721, Indian River Inlet 829, and then as we go further to the south, Ocean City 706, and then Aztec Island 728 as we expect that surge of water. We're looking at temperatures generally around the low to mid 70s this afternoon. High pressure builds in through Friday. Friday looking like a gorgeous day and a beautiful weekend shaping up. And then check this out as we head into next week, a taste of fall as we go out in style here in August. Plenty of sunshine and below average temperatures. 75 today, cloudy and windy. 60 overnight with decreasing clouds, and then we'll see a temperature of 79 degrees. Again, that dangerous surf is going to continue through the weekend, so continue to monitor that as we'll see high risk of rip currents through the weekend. Cold front comes through late Sunday, could spark an isolated storm, could see a lingering shower into Monday, but we welcome some nice cool temperatures into next week. We'll be right back with more news.
Tonight on the Delmarva Sports Network at 7, it's live Shorebirds baseball, and at 10:30 p.m. it's the final score. And here's what you can look forward to later this afternoon for Coast Life at 4 p.m.
We're getting closer and closer to the weekend, and if you're still planning things out, well, you want to tune into Coast Life, because here's what's coming up today at 4. We're headed to Ocean City, and we're checking out the bearded clam. Also on Coast Life, we're going to be chatting new arrivals from Water Lily here on the couch. Can't wait for you to see all that fashionable fun. And it's Thursday, so you know we're going to be spilling some drama, spilling some tea. All of that fun and more is coming up today at 4 on Coast Life. We'll see you then.
The cloudy weather on Delmarva is having an effect on a scheduled launch at Wallops Island earlier this week. We told you that launch window for the Tomex Plus was pushed back tonight, and that has now changed again. According to the NASA flight facility, the mission needs clear skies. The Tomex, or turbulent oxygen mixing experiment sounding rocket, will investigate one of Earth's atmospheric regions. The new launch window opens Friday night at 10 p.m.
Taking a live look into Ocean View, the choppy waters of the Indian River Inlet. It's going to be a windy afternoon. Rough seas continue. 71 in Ocean View, not rising all that much as far as the temperature is concerned through the afternoon. We're looking at low to mid 70s as those high winds continue. Gusts upwards of 50 miles an hour at the coast. Brian Heisey of Selbyville, Delaware, the winner of our Paul Davis umbrella. We'll have a look at that 10-day forecast coming up next. Well, taking a live look into a cloudy, windy Lewis. There's those, look at those white caps as those strong northeast onshore winds continue. Temperature 71 degrees there in Lewis. Winds sustained anywhere between about 20 to 25 miles an hour, gusting upwards of 40 to 50 along the coast. And temperatures are going to hold relatively steady, lower 70s through the afternoon with those overcast skies continuing. Now, if you're heading to Jeep Fest today, it's going to be a cloudy, windy day on the beach. Gusts upwards of 50 miles an hour, at least through the afternoon. Tomorrow, looking much better. Mostly sunny skies, but we're going to continue to see some breezy conditions at the coast. Now, your 10-day forecast shows sunshine returning into our Friday. Plenty of sunshine through the weekend. Also note that dangerous surf and rip current risk is going to continue through the weekend despite the beautiful conditions. Cold front comes through late Sunday, giving us a chance of an isolated shower. Could see a lingering shower Monday morning, but then we have a little taste of fall, Brandon, kind of giving us a feel for maybe some football weather here in a couple weeks, right?
Thank you, Chris. We're looking forward to that. And thank you for joining us here for Coast TV News Midday. For more news and local weather and on how Hurricane Erin is affecting the coast, you can download our Coast TV News app. Don't forget to join us for Coast TV News at 5 later this afternoon. Have a great day.